Hey, it's me, Brea, and I'm a lifestyle coach. I help moms reclaim their time and energy. Look at you, taking this moment to recharge. I see you. During the Doulas Bloom podcast, I share tools and resources with my clients and community to spend time with themselves. The key to you living as your authentic self is embracing change and having courage. Your relationship with yourself is the only true constant in life, and observing yourself throughout each season will allow you to always be in alignment with the desires of your heart. Are you interested in joining my one-on-one coaching program? You can book a sales call with me by visiting the link in the description to schedule your session today. Before we get started, I have to remind you of your influence because you are an inspiration. Hey everybody, and happy International Women's Month. I am so excited for this series. I have been hard at work all of February recording with amazing women to bring you their stories. I created the Girl Chat series not only to share the stories of amazing women, but to also create time capsules of our growth. I think it's so important for us to go back and witness ourselves. And through this series, I have created a little time capsule, not only for me, but also for the women who joined me in these chats. We get to go back and witness ourselves in these moments. And I teach my clients and my community to do this on a monthly and weekly level. And so I'm so excited to expand and grow this series as time goes on. It's going to be so interesting to have guests come back on to the series. But I'm getting ahead of myself. If this is your first time here, my name is Brea. I am a lifestyle coach. I host the Doulas Bloom podcast. I am the creator of the Doulas Bloom community, and I am the leader of the village. So I'm so excited to bring you this March 2022 cohort of Girl Chats. I have committed to doing this every year, as last year in 2021, I did a series, an IGTV series of Girl Chats, which will also be shared during this month, that has inspired me to continue to share stories and to have conversations with women about their stories and their lives and what's brought them to this point. So for the rest of March 2022, you will be getting stories from 20 plus women about their stories, about where they are right now and what has brought them to this point. And I am so excited to do this again. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who's shared so openly in this series. And I am so excited to hop right into this conversation. Clearly, you clicked on this one because something in the title or the description, or you know the person who's going to be on this chat. I just want to say thank you to everybody, and I am so looking forward to our conversation about where you are a year from now, 2 years from now. I'm just excited to have you back for another Girl Chat. But I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to stop rambling and hop right into this conversation because it is so beautiful, and I don't take any of this for granted, and that's why I really had to come in here hot before we even got into the conversation just to share that. And yeah, I'm gushing right now, but thank you so much for listening, you as the viewer who's experiencing this conversation, this Girl Chat, and thank you to everybody who's been on the Girl Chat in its entirety. So yeah, I'm gonna stop rambling and I'm gonna let the Girl Chat go. But if you're interested in being part of a Girl Chat with us here on the Doulas Bloom podcast, let me know. You can go to the description. There's a link down there for you to join the wait list. There's a wait list, y'all. There's a wait list for the Girl Chats because so many people wanted to be a part of this, and I'm just excited because we're gonna have more Girl Chats here in the future. So if you want to be a part of the next cohort, you need to join the wait list. Okay, have these conversations, share your story, share your insights and your gems with the community, and let us know what's going on. I don't want us to hide and think that we don't, like, our stories aren't enough. Like, oh my gosh, I've learned so much from the women in my life, and that's why this series means so much to me. But again, I want to create space for you to enjoy this conversation. And again, thank you so much to everybody who's listening, who's being a part of this series. I am happy that you're here. Again, if you want to be a part of this series, you can join the waitlist. The link is down below. You can go to doulasbloom.com/podcast guest to join the waitlist. So without further ado, it's time for a Girl Chat.
Time for a Girl Chat.
Enjoy.
Time for a Girl Chat.
It's time for a girl chat. Time for a girl chat. Hi, everybody. It's Brea here, and there's also another Brea in the room because that's who our guest is. She spells her name's Brea. I spell mine Bria, but you're not going to be able to hear the difference in pronunciation. So Brea is here with us today, and I'm just super excited to get into this conversation about money and time management and the overlap between the two. But I want to slow down because I'm super excited and hold some space for Brea to introduce herself. Let us know what she does, who she is, why she's here. So the floor is yours.
Hello, my name is Brea. I am a life coach that is dedicated to. Currently, I really love helping women with their issues with money and getting them to a place to where they can build a relationship that they want with money and go beyond money mindset to make the changes that they want, so that they can feel better about spending, saving, receiving money without anxiety and doubt. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I use trauma informed methods, somatic work. So that's another reason why I say like beyond mindset, because it's all about how you are feeling in your body. It's about the unconscious responses that we have that once you're able to like think about things, mind, body, and soul, then from there you have like a completely different relationship with your money, and then ultimately your entire life changes.
I agree. I agree completely. I love it. I love what Brea is about. Just to give you all a bit of context of like how Brea and I are sitting in the same room together, we're actually in the same business coaching community, 5-Figure Freedom it's called now. So shout out to DL for linking us together. Yeah, she brings exceptional people together, and I could rave about DL all day, but yeah, I like to do this little thing where I do like first impressions. So if you want to share your first impression of me and I share my first impression of you, just to like break the ice, let the people know that what we're about, this is a chill space. So yeah, what's your first impression of me, Brea?
Well, I automatically like anyone that has my name. Just yeah, that what I saw was Bria. I was like, okay, not the exact same spelling, but I love Brea. And there are 3 Brias in the program now, right?
I don't know.
There's Brianna, who sometimes goes by Brea, or no, am I making that up?
She goes by Brea, I think, but it's okay.
And so there was that. So I immediately liked because of that. And then also I thought your approach to health is really cool. Specifically, I thought it was really cool that you were able to go to Katie's retreat. I remember that correctly. And I thought that was really unique. I can't cook to save my life. I don't really enjoy it. So the fact that you were able to go there and throw down in the kitchen and make some magic, I thought that was really interesting. Really
Thank you. It's definitely magic. I don't really like talk about like how witchy I am all the time, but it's like if there's garden witches and like other types of witches, I'm definitely the type of witch who's like mixing potions together in another life and like bringing it all together. Yes, that type of thing. But my first impression of you was, okay, first of all, I love your laugh. I love your laugh so much. And so like whenever you would get coaching, I'd be like laughing with you. So it was always an enjoyable thing. And so I just loved your energy. And then obviously manifestation, I'm like, okay, girl, share all your tips. Please help me. Help me. And I'm so excited to like just help. You're helping me, but you're also helping the community too. So yeah, I just want to like jump right in. I'm ready. Are you ready?
Okay.
I'm gonna ask a simple question just to get the conversation started, and then like we can jump off from there. So obviously talking about like money and time management, the overlap between the two, because it literally takes time to set aside to like manage your money and stuff. But I was thinking about like our conversation and where it could go, and I was like, okay, financial literacy. How important do you think that is to manifesting and creating your dream life? Do you think it's something that you need? And if you didn't get it, like, is it something you can teach yourself? Like, how important do you think that is? Like, how do you feel about that?
Specifically financial literacy?
Or just like in general, like, and how like the lack of it in some communities can impact like the burdens, not the burdens, but the obstacles
Yeah.
that you'll have to, I don't even like the word obstacles, but like challenges, like you have to challenge yourself, put yourself in a situation where you do things differently and like look at your finances differently so that you can
Mm-hmm.
expand, you know, room for
Yeah.
expansion. So
Yeah.
yeah, thoughts.
So I actually think the concept of more communities of color needing more financial literacy is overhyped. And
Yeah.
I kind of think it glosses over a bigger problem of doesn't matter if we teach people like, here's how you better manage your funds and put this the recommended percentage to put in a savings account or an investment, et cetera, et cetera. Doesn't matter if people are barely making minimum wage.
Mm,
And it doesn't matter if they're so traumatized by periods of not having money that when they get it, they automatically have a response to spend, whether it's on something that's worthwhile or not. Like you
yeah.
can give them the tools to quote unquote be literate financially, but if they're not able to feel good with money
Mm,
because they have these like preconceived notions or like these unconscious rules that they follow or an unconscious narrative that they follow from systematic racism, systematic classism, just crazy money things that are stronger stories that hold more weight in their minds and in their bodies.
mm,
Whatever financial literacy you teach them, it's only going to go so far.
yeah.
So I think it's important, it's overemphasized over true, not to sound too woo-woo, but true healing with someone's relationship with money up to the point to where they are told more information about how they can do things differently in the future. Before they can think about the future, I feel like a lot of people need to reconcile their past.
Oh, that is so beautiful. Like, no, Brea. That was beautiful because it's almost the same in like um spending time with yourself. Like you can't
Mm-hmm.
begin to create your life in the sense of like, okay, I want to be intentional about the way that I spend time with myself and like, curate experiences for myself. And it's just like, if you
Mm-hmm.
haven't looked back and seen how you were using your time before and understanding why you were so avoidant to like spending time with yourself in the first place, you're not going to be able to sustain the relationship that you're building with yourself. And you kind of
Totally.
blew my mind because like I'm always like, okay, ancestral trauma is a real thing. And I always think about like my ancestors and how like they would probably like hype me up and be like, girl, you're doing it, you're doing great. But also I like to look and be like, well, like obviously I'm doing great, but there's this like feeling of like almost like scarcity mindset that like is ingrained in my body that I have to like be aware of and like talk to on the daily. Because I feel like I struggle with having money, if that makes sense, like actually
Mm-hmm.
holding it for long periods of time. And like
Yeah.
that you just spend it and you don't necessarily know what it feels like to have, especially when you do
Keep
work.
it. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Because like
Mm-hmm.
there
Mm-hmm.
wasn't generational wealth for my people. And so it's just like
Yeah.
there was not having, it was always spending out of necessity and, being
Mm-hmm.
frugal
Mm-hmm.
and in those ways, because I can only speak from my experience, but like even with all the knowledge that I have about money and how to manage it and like saving and all these things and investing, 401k, Roth, I like all those things, it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter because I still think with a like lack mindset, if
Yeah,
that makes sense.
absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, you blew my mind when you said it because I'm like, that is exactly like it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter because like I know how to do these things and it's just like that doesn't make having or spending money any easier.
Mhm. Mhm. And it can for some people. Some folks might, truly benefit from understanding like, some tips and tricks on to like how to save um more in interest down the line by doing certain things when you're buying your first house. Um or like other things to like be aware of, so that your grocery bill is like a good 10 to 20% lower. Those things do add up over time. Um but it kind of goes back to my original point. It doesn't matter if you're going to save money down the road if that money is ultimately going to, if your pattern that you've used or your I like to call these like narratives. It's like the trauma experience, the traumatic experience you've had around money has created a narrative that says to survive, because your brain and your body is they're all about keeping us safe. They're not
Yeah.
about keeping us happy. It's about keeping us safe. And if safety means you received money and then you spent it on everything you needed to survive, then the narrative that around money is like money in,
Yeah.
money out. That's how I live. And so even if you are no longer in a state to where your spending has to go strictly toward your survival, your pattern is money in, money out to survive. And you
Yeah.
have to reorient yourself around like, hey, it might feel good in a weird way to spend this money in the moment, but it makes me feel bad afterwards. How can we reevaluate? Like it's you, and then you kind of have to do some work, reworking and repatterning to tell your body like it's actually more safe if I keep this money, body. It's okay,
Yeah.
brain. But that's hard to put in a pamphlet and talk. You know what I mean? Financial
Yeah.
literacy is almost easier to talk about.
Yeah. And it's like, whoo, my brain is going so fast. I'm trying to like gather words. My mind went blank. But I'm curious about like how you spend money and like how you like what are your intentions and like what's your relationship with
Mhm.
money when it comes to like using it as a tool, because I always remind myself that money is just a resource and like
Yeah, totally.
it's not like everything. It's just something that, if I want it, I have to create access for it to come to me. Just like water and the sink. Like if I don't have a well or anything like that, how am I supposed to receive water if I'm not near the river? Like I have to, have access to that resource. And I'm like just curious about like how you see money in your life.
Mhm. Mhm. So money in general is same deal. I try and be as neutral about it as possible. It's a tool, it's
Mhm.
a resource. It only reflects the energy that I put toward it. And by energy, I mean like not in like this super woo vibrational, like, I'm in the frequency of joy. Like, no, 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 just literally like how I am being. So like if I feel good about, how I'm spending my money, then like money is inherently good. If I am intentionally doing bad things with money, then yeah, money is inherently bad. That's kind of what I mean by energy in that
Yeah.
regard. And so yeah, it's a neutral resource, and my relationship with money has been fascinating because the spending, like the having thing, is absolutely something that I have struggled with and really gotten better at managing over the years. Especially, coincidentally, this past year has been huge in helping me realize that like I have been able to earn in greater numbers than ever before. Like I had a goal to like hit six figures by 30. I was able to do it in 29. And so like this way of like being able to receive money has been incredible. I've gotten really good at it. But then the irony is I really struggled to keep it.
Mhm.
What's the term? What's the name of that term? Oh, I wish I could think of it. It's like really clever, but it's basically like people who make over $100,000 and are living paycheck to paycheck. I'm not that anymore, but there was a period of time where I was like that because it's just the same deal. It's like, well, just receive, spend. And part of it was due to like, the panoramic. My boyfriend ended up not having a job for a while, and so I was the one
Yeah.
holding it down for the two of us for a hot second. And part of it was that, but then the other piece was like it kept happening for no reason. And so I'll go into the story high level, and if you want more details, happy to share. But
Okay.
one of the things I learned is one of the things that like I grew up with is we don't really acknowledge when we have problems or if there are
Yeah.
issues. Like it's not to be vocalized, especially out of the house because it's nobody's business. But then coincidentally, it was also low key, none of the business of any parties involved at the house. And so one of the narratives I have is I don't have a problem. Like we
Mm.
don't have problems. Um, and so even as I realized things were the way spending was happening was becoming problematic, it kept running up against I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem. So I kept ignoring it until I was like, wait, why is it a problem that I have problems? And
Mhm.
from there, kind of dismantling that narrative and being like, that's not real. A, it's not real. B, it's not fucking helpful. And pardon my French. The other thing too is like I'm a solution oriented woman. Like I love problem solving, and you don't need solutions unless you have a problem. So problems aren't necessarily a bad thing. They're just like
Yeah.
new avenues for you to choose to reorient yourself. So I tell you all that to say, like, my relationship with money has really, really significantly shifted over like the past 2, 3 years, especially with receiving. But now I'm getting so much better with recognizing like it's good to keep things. Like I don't
Yeah.
necessarily, yeah, it can feel good. And then also, so to maybe a little more detail, a lot of the reason why I felt the need to also make those make those choices was also because I felt like I needed to access information. And like the only way to do so was like almost through like a paywall type situation,
Mm,
where it's like that coach has the answer. I want the answer. She's got it. Let me give her money. And while those things aren't necessarily a bad thing, I'm really happy for the knowledge. I realized that was part of the problem that I was ignoring. So it's like not only did I have that problem, but then I was also ignoring that I had a problem with problems.
yeah.
Girl. On the other side now, but yeah.
I
That.
think that answers a question that someone had asked earlier, like let me see, what was the question? When is spending money or time on your business or any area of your
Mm-hmm.
life really too much? And like just
Mm-hmm.
that part of you sharing that story, I was like, yeah, like you were obviously looking for the answers outside of yourself. And so it's just like I think there's a conscious point where you have to like be aware of like, why am I doing this, and like gently asking
Yeah.
yourself that in the process, because like only you can define what too much is. um so yeah, it's like having that conversation with yourself and being honest about it, because
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
this motion.
Mhm.
No
Mhm.
words.
And then also, that level of self trust and even like inner knowing, that's a muscle. That's an exercise. There's so many external voices, whether it's like straight up marketing,
Mm-hmm.
influencing that we think we need something, or whether it's, throughout our own families and friends, telling us that like we need to do this, we should do this.
Yeah.
Media needs and shoulds come from all over, and they're very strong and very loud. And so that's why, for me, with my clients in particular, I'm all about, I call, and once again, part of my friends, I help them build what I like to call unfuckwittable self trust.
Mm.
In that, like, nothing, no one, nary a thing can fuck with them. And
Yeah.
that's like from little things as much as like, like, okay, here's Sally's too spiritual coach saying this one thing, and maybe back in the day they were super um like automatically like just take my money because I have to know all the answers from
Yeah.
you. So recognizing like, I'm really grateful for, all the things you taught me, but like all the most important things are here within me right now.
Mm-hmm.
Two big things, such as like, your folks being like, well, you shouldn't pursue that. Why did you even go to college if you're doing A, B, C, D, E, F, G?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
learning how to listen to yourself is huge.
It's so huge, and we love French here, so no need to pardon it. At
Yay.
least I
Okay.
do. Yeah, this is a safe space. If anybody is not okay with that, this is your cue to click off. But
Mm-hmm.
I would say that one, I can relate to your experience with your family about sweeping things under the rug. Have always been the type of person where I'm like, boundaries, you're not going to cross me. I'm a human. Just because you're older than me doesn't mean that you can stomp all over me. So
Uh-huh.
like that was something that, innately I was born with. Like I didn't even have to try. I didn't realize that I was creating boundaries. Like, but looking back, I was like, yeah, I wasn't gonna
Oh,
let
that's
people.
cool.
Yeah, but
Oh, I didn't
also
have those, so I was much older.
no, it caused a lot of tension in the household. So mm.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Sooner or
Okay.
later, early, everybody gets trauma in life.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I realized that for me, I have this feeling of like there's a cap on my potential and a cap on like what I can be. And so like I'm aware that I have this feeling of inadequacy, just like you were talking about, like searching outwardly, that I am so intentional about like, okay, Brea, what is for you? And
Mhm.
why do you want to do it? Is this something that somebody told you to do? Is this like the voice in your ear? Like, I like to think of my ego as like my bodyguard, and he's trying to keep me safe, like you
Yeah,
were just
there you
saying,
go.
like they're have no malintention other than keeping me safe. And so like I always have to question and be like, no, calm down, Frank, if that's my bodyguard's name. Like, no, this is cool, this can
I
get
love
through.
it.
And so like I had to, it's like still like a skill that I'm strengthening right now about like letting
Yeah.
myself be in situations that are uncertain and not safe to the body, to the like
Mhm.
literally to the body, like, you know, nervous system is going places, but like just so that I can show myself that, hey, like this is safe, you can trust yourself, you have the tools and the resources to get yourself out of the situation. And when I'm talking
Mhm.
about things in
Mhm.
this way, I'm not talking about life or death situations. I'm not talking about like abusive environments or anything like that. I'm talking about things
Right.
like literally, Brea, you having a podcast is safe. Brea, you having a
Mhm.
business is
Mhm.
safe. Like you
Mhm.
engaging with your community, that's safe. And so when it comes back to like kind of wiring your brain to like knowing that having money and having time for yourself is actually a good thing that you get to have, because like historically my ancestors didn't have that. And so
Right.
it's
Right.
like I'm so used to working for someone else that that feels normal, and it's like, oh well, because this is normal, this is what I'm supposed to do. It's just like,
Mhm.
no,
Mhm.
this is just your body. Like, this is safe. This is comfortable. And it's just like, your body won't even know that other things are possible if you don't allow
Right.
yourself to experience them. And
Right.
it's just like allowing yourself to see yourself in a new light. I wrote this song about it for my EP that I did for my birthday and all this stuff. And it was just like, you have to constantly see yourself in a new light. Like, even when you think
Yeah.
you reached your peak, like there's more. Like you don't
There's
know
more.
how much is in
Mhm.
you until
Mhm.
like you give yourself a chance to have $1 million, until you give yourself a chance to like spend a whole month in France just you solo traveling, like, you know, like that type of
Right.
thing. It doesn't have to be that grand of a scale, but it's just like those things are possible for you. And
Right. Right.
I even got scared saying $1 million, a 3-month solo trip in France. But it's like you can build yourself up to that. Like it doesn't have to go to that extreme so quickly. And it's just like, where can you embody what you want now?
I was gonna say the two things you made me think of. I'm actually gonna do the second thing first. I love, even though I haven't read it yet, but former President Obama's book title, "The Audacity of Hope," really rings true, because sometimes like to even dream or like hope for better is that's kind of an audacious thing for people of color to do, especially in
Mm-hmm.
a world where systems and structures are intentionally in place to keep us small. Like the last thing they want us to start doing is hoping. So you already have to have a little bit of audacity to do that, and then take it a step further and clear out any beliefs that say you can't have otherwise, and then act in accordance with beliefs that say you can, and then take actions that reinforce I can do this, I'm okay, this is safe. Like that's like I don't even like whatever the next level above audacity is, but it's huge. It's a lot, and so I feel like if people are on their journey to go for more, give themselves grace, give themselves compassion. Like it is, not only are we, it's weird because there's internal, not battles, like the things that we have inside. They're more like compassionate confrontation with our inner selves of like, girl, we're fine, shut up. But then with the external world, it maybe is a little more of a battle, because you literally do have, you got racist structures that are like, no, 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 you will not survive. You will, or you will just survive. You will not thrive. And so
Yeah.
there's a balance between acknowledging what is technically bigger than you, in that like it literally is bigger than more than us two people. It spans decades, centuries, generations. So it's literally bigger than all of us, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not bigger than our personal power. And
Exactly.
striking that balance between honoring both of those two things, like figuring out how to balance that and move through. That's how you have people of color that are successful and feeling fulfilled and self-actualized and have self-efficacy to like think that they can have the audacity to hope to do things and then actually believe that they can do those things and then take the steps to do those things or something better. So that's the first part. And then the second part, which was actually the first thing, was related to, you said it's like, it's a hard thing to do. I said audacity. How I actually think I answered both. So it's like we're to hope is a thing enough, and there's so much that kind of encourages us to not. But then on top of that, you know, our bodies are just trying to keep us safe. Our brains are just trying to keep us safe, and that doesn't always mean happy. And so sometimes when you have moments of like, oh, I shouldn't do this, or I ought to do that, like, stop and question that. Why? But why though? Like compassionately confronting and questioning yourself and why you're, whether it's good or bad. You know what I mean? Like usually these are in like ask questions or like question things that are like maybe not serving you. They even question the things that serve you to reinforce, to give additional evidence to like, this is good for me. See, this is safe. This is even safer than doing nothing. I am so much safer in taking action because like look at all these interesting possibilities. I'm meeting all these people, I'm doing all these things, and I'm receiving all this and that and the other. It's reinforcement, right? You want positive, you want either way you are receiving reinforcement, it might as well be reinforcement for something that's for your good.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, that was a gem if I ever saw one. I love the way that you articulated that because it's really just about being intentional about spending time with yourself. And when I mean like yourself, I mean like your future and your past self, like a little bit of self-integration here. But like you have the potential to have this beautiful life and you can always reevaluate the way that you want it to look. And you also have everything that brought you to like this present moment, that like your story, your journey, everything that you endured and experienced is just like, oh, I get always so caught up in like just witnessing myself, because like that's where you can empower yourself. That's where you can, I feel like, build that hope to be like, well, if I was able to make it through XYZ and get to 1, 2, 3, like, oh my gosh, anybody can do it. Like I can do it again.
Anyone can do it, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And so it's just like, how can you feel good where you are now? Because like obviously you're gonna get there. And I always think about like the different parts of myself. So like obviously there's my higher self that lives in the ancestral plane with my ancestors and all that stuff, the present self here in the flesh, the body, the past and the future self. But there's also obviously the inner child who lives back there in the past. But I feel like there's this part of us that also lives in the future, like our authentic self. And so it's just like, if I don't feel me right now, there's always a way for me to get back to this ideal version of me. And like that's almost like the person that you want to embody now, the person that feels good and feels right to you right here, right now. And so it's like when I think about like how I spend my time and how I spend my money, I always have the intention of being like, okay, future Brea, I call my future self Serenity. I'm like, how would she spend her money?
Like Sailor Moon.
I know what Sailor Moon is. I haven't watched it, but
that's okay. That was basically the queen version of herself, was Neo Queen Serenity, but don't worry about it.
No, it's okay. I'm just like,
we'll talk about it later.
I know. I'm like,
okay.
animes.
We're good.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let me not like have a whole moment right now. But I think it's really important to realize that you can have more for yourself now. And like even because like, okay, my little situation, my little story, because like I'm sitting in this apartment. This is my first time. Like I signed a lease, and I said I would never sign a lease because I wanted to live in a van, but I signed a lease, and I let myself sign a lease because I was so caught up into I'm gonna live in my van. I'm gonna live in my van, that I didn't allow myself to expand the possibility of like having another route to living in the van, even if it comes later on, or maybe I'm not living in a van, but like I travel on the road. Like I think there's important things to be expansive and open to different paths to getting to where you want, so you can have the journey to actually explore if that's actually what you want. And that was a bit heavy, but I hope y'all caught what I was saying. But my story of like, okay, panoramic happens. I'm living in Denver, college student. I don't have the money to pay for college because school ended. I don't have work anymore. Everything's shut down. So I have to move back home. And I was so stuck in the mindset of like, oh my gosh, I used to be a college student. I want to be a college student again. How do I get back to being in college? Oh, wait, my college campus is closing. What am I going to do now? Okay, I guess I'm going to drop out. Okay, but then I dropped out. And now what am I going to do? Like, this is literally how I talk to myself in my brain. This little voice
Yeah.
I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, well, what's next? What's next? What's next? And so I looked back. And when I say I look back at my college experience. And I had always told myself, if this campus ever closes, I'm going to drop out. The campus closed, Brea dropped out.
Fulfilled it.
I fulfilled it. And it's also like we make commitments to ourselves that we get to look back on and follow through. Because like I said that I was going to drop out, and all my friends, it was a running joke. Like, if this campus ever, y'all ain't gonna see me. I was like, I must not be getting my degree. Like, I'm out of here. I'm gonna just do it. Because I was an entrepreneurship student. And it's just like, I really think the universe was like, okay, bet, let's do it. Let's start the business.
Bet. Right.
And so
Right,
I was like,
if you're a staff or not.
Exactly. And so now it's like the expansion that I happened just from like the school closing, me moving back home and rebuilding my relationship with my mother and my family, and like being intentional about the way that I use my time when I got home. Obviously, it took me a while to accept it, but like I'm here now and I can look back on that and be like, I'm so grateful that I took the time to just like live in that present.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't live in that present, like it wouldn't have, I might not be here. I might have been still sulking, talking about, oh, I wish I was a college student again. I wish I was
Yeah.
like, it's just like, okay, obviously there's a story and a lesson here. And I feel like the same is with like times and distractions and avoiding yourself and like spending money and like hoarding money and like all of that. Like I think there's overlap in all of it, where it's like, where's the lesson? What is this trying to teach me? And like you said about like being compassionate and gently asking yourself, well, why? What's going on? So yeah, I don't know what the point was, but I felt that I felt compelled to share a bit of my story there, because I think it's so much bigger than this one moment in time. Like it's about, I always think about it as like we're tethered to our past and our future. Like literally we're tethered. And so it's like you can't go anywhere without it. So there's no need to forget it. Like it's a part of you and it will always be a part of you. And so just being where you are now and embracing the transformation and the evolution that you're going through. But yeah.
You know, what you said reminds me of one of the literally one of the very first things I talked about with my life coach. Like, I don't even think this was our first call. This was like in our discovery call. One of the conclusions I came to is like, I need to focus on what's now instead of what's next.
Yeah.
Because I was very focused on like, what's next. And I think, you know, there's like this phrase of like, depression means you're stuck in the past. Anxiety means you're stuck in the future. And so, you know, probably without even realizing it, I was super anxious. And I just needed to, and also there was a sense of recognizing, once again, at least having enough courage to recognize that there was a problem, because I kept having these goals, achieving these goals, and feeling like shit afterwards. And it's because everything was so future oriented that once like, and everything was also a means to an end. Instead of going for the end, like I'm just gonna do the end, I would go for the means, and then the high of like I did the thing would wear off pretty quickly. And because it wasn't exactly what I was really wanting, it really created some bitterness. And so, yeah, what's now over what's next has been like a complete game changer for me. So I get why, like understanding like where you're at right now and honoring that has been huge for you. It's been huge for you too.
And it's just like being so proud of yourself. I like to like do like little gratitude gestures for myself. So like whether that's like, okay, Brea, what was the highlight of your day? Or like sitting with myself and just being like, oh my gosh, like looking at myself in the mirror and being like, okay, girl, you look beautiful, your eyes today. Like, you know, something simple like that, because like my body is here right now. And like, that's why I always
Right.
say like the body is the anchor to the present. Like if you want to know like what it feels like to be present, it's being in your body. Like it's literally being in your body. Your
Mm-hmm.
body is working diligently to keep you alive at every moment, at every second of every day. And so it's just like, where can
Yeah.
you just be in awe of yourself to be like, holy shit, I'm still alive. Like, oh my gosh,
Right.
everything that's happened, I'm still breathing. Like I'm still here, regardless of if I have all the money in the bank or I'm struggling like with what I'm struggling with, like, oh, and I always try to get back to
Right.
that because I struggle with both anxiety um, and depression. I feel like if you have anxiety, it's in my situation, there's a point where I get so anxious that it just, you hit the you hit the floor and then you're like, oh, I was anxious for so long, I didn't do anything, and then like you spiral into a bit of
Right.
a,
Right.
a
Yeah.
dark place.
There's like the
So
shame. There's a shame over recognizing. It's weird because it's for a split second a really good moment because you become present and you're like, oh, I spent all this time like worrying about the future when like all that matters is now. I mean, you're like, oh, I spent all that time worrying about the future and all that matters is now. You know what I mean? You feel shame
exactly.
for the recognition, and so
Yeah.
that piece can be tricky.
It can be tricky,
um,
but I think the key is the body. When you feel good in your body,
yeah,
you feel good in the experiences that you're having, whether they are a high or a low moment. It's just like, how can you spend time with your body? One, to like date yourself in a sense. I don't really like
yeah,
that analogy, but like really spending time with yourself and enjoying your own company and being like, there's weird rituals that I have with myself that my family just doesn't understand, but it's just like, this is what I do. It's my annual big toe clipping of the year. I clip my big toe once a year. People think it's so weird, but it's like, that's a moment for me and my body to be like, I see you. I've held this one piece of my body for so long because like the way that I see it, and I know if this is creeping you out, it's okay. It's okay. It's cool. But like our body is constantly regenerating itself. And so like
hmm
eyelashes fall off. My skin, it's constantly like, this is new skin, and like my hair falls. I'm just like, I feel like, okay, what can I like keep for myself for 1 year and then kind of like be like, okay, this is a new chapter.
interesting. That's
Yeah.
cool.
There's like little things that I do with my body, like meditative showers. And whenever I feel really stressed, I always can feel like the oil on my scalp, like dripping onto my face. I'm like, okay, gotta wash this away. And it's just like having like little moments like that with yourself that who cares if anybody else
Yeah.
understands, but like, this is my temple, and like, this is how I run, and this is how I feel good, and this is how I feel
Mm.
safe. And that's probably TMI, but like, that's my life. This is me.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
Brea. I
You
do
know,
by
those type
myself.
of physical exercises and like regrounding yourself with like I'm here in my body and I'm safe. That's also it's very similar to, or at least like the principle is super similar to like what I teach my clients when, especially the ones that have like a lot of money anxiety around spending money,
Mm-hmm.
like before they swipe their card, before they click checkout,
Mm.
before they do anything, they can do a quick, like one of the things like in somatic work I've learned, or one of my favorite exercises is like the somatic scan. You literally slowly, and if you're at the grocery store, you do it kind of fast, but you slowly look around and really soak in like there are no bears, no
Mm.
one's trying to attack me. Like it's almost like it's I'm all about evidence, right? You are gathering the evidence that you are okay, even though right now it's like because this like money you're about to spend feels unsafe. You were reinforcing like, no, I'm
Exactly.
actually okay. And then from that like moment, you were able to shift how you feel about money or what it means to spend that money. You feel good about it,
Yeah.
and then you spend from a place of feeling so much better. It
Yeah.
makes a huge difference. Makes a huge difference. And then over time, you're not going to have that knee jerk anxiety anymore because you're going to have so much more evidence on like, I spend money and it's fine. I spend money and it's more than safe. Then you're no longer going to have that like fight or that flight response of like, oh, run, you know. That's
Mm-hmm.
so yeah. I completely understand what you mean with like your body rituals, and I fully have I've seen how impactful they can be with people
Yeah.
completely transforming their relationship with money as well.
Exactly. I've actually had a therapist tell me that as well, because get into a freeze response. And that's why I'm super like,
Mm.
okay, just move one finger, Brea. Just like literally I freeze. Like it's not just like literally deer in headlights. I can't move, I can't talk. Like, and it's not literally about like, okay, get back to yourself, but just like letting your body know it's safe. So I love that you shared that practice
even
with
if it's just looking.
yes. And like, oh, it's so big. And it's just like, okay, if you can't look somewhere, move, like notice yourself in your body. And I just did this under the table. Like, it doesn't have to be this whole big grand thing, but it's just like, where can I begin to feel comfortable in my body? Because when you feel comfortable in your body, then that creates an experience for you to be open to spending time, spending money in a new way.
Right.
So yeah, I love how you brought it all back together, because I don't know where we was going for a second, but I'm here for it. That's a girl chat.
I'm always here for a detour. It's all good.
Yeah. But you know, as we're wrapping up conversation, I would love to hear any like last minute gems if you have any to offer, anything to share, and then just to let everyone know how they can work with you, what you're working on, what's going on in your life, like anything exciting that's happening, anything you want to share, document here on the podcast with us.
Yeah. Let's see. I feel like I've said a lot about like my core biggies that I really want to express. The number one thing I would ask people to maybe ponder a little bit is understand like how much do they trust themselves, and is there any other voice, person, or entity that they follow, believe in, or respond to more than their inner voice, and is that okay with them? I think from my observation, the people that are unhappy or don't feel fulfilled or are not living the life they want, when they are able to boil it down to like the key principles and like why that's a thing, because they're not listening to themselves. They're following someone else's intentions are stronger. They're following those versus their own. Someone else's voice is stronger, their will is stronger, and they are consistently giving into that versus standing up for themselves or listening to themselves. That's not to blame that person. Like, it's not about like, and you know, it's your fault that you're this way. It's more so an opportunity to explore, like, where is your power going? And is there an opportunity to like redirect it? So if anyone's out there and they're like, I can't stand my relationship with money, I never have enough, it's always coming in and going out, I can never save it, I want to earn more, and I always struggle with like ABC factor with money, who are you listening to when it comes to money? Are you following your heart with how you should spend, or with how you want to spend, or are you following like someone else's should? When it comes to how you're earning money, like, you know, if you're a business owner, just like constantly trying to like make it, and you're just like, I don't know, like my 9 to 5, it's whatever, and I could try and get promoted here because it's not that bad, but like I'm supposed to be an entrepreneur because it's the trendy thing to do right now. Who are you actually listening to? Are you actually grinding it out to fulfill someone else's idea of how you should be versus like how things actually could be for you? So don't limit yourself with how the world gets to work for you, how money gets to work for you. And ironically, the biggest way you limit yourself is by listening to other voices more than your own.
Whew, I needed that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, that was so good.
I tell myself that every day. So don't think it's like something that I have down pat.
No, it's okay. It's
every day.
Exactly. It's something that I've told myself again, time and time again, but it's always nice to have a gentle reminder. I don't think you can have too many reminders, but oh, that was beautiful. I'm in awe. I don't even know what else to say. I just want to let everybody know that Brea is here. Brea, and I'm not referring to Brea as myself, I'm referring to Brea with an E, that she's here to help you all if you are looking for a coach to help you with money manifestation, building a relationship with money so that you can actually expand and create the life that you want. She is here for you. And also, Brea with an I is also here for you if you are looking to keep me time on the calendar. You are important. And when you spend time with yourself, you show up with your friends, you show up for your friends and your family and your community with so much more love and energy in your heart. So if that is something that you are interested in, we are here for you. We would love to help
Yeah.
you. And so much love for Brea Squared today. This was beautiful.
Woohoo! Brea Squared. Yes.
I'm so happy. But where can everyone connect with you?
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram at your coach Brea. That's primarily where I hang out. One other thing I forgot to mention. So starting Saturday, if this is coming out Monday, it'll still be going on. I'm actually doing in what I like to call my end of year income elevation, where I'm hopping on live for like 15 minutes each day, going through a common money rule and either explaining why it's half true or just straight up false. And even more important for y'all is helping you identify if it's something that you follow that actually is in alignment with, what you want, what you believe, or if it's actually something that you follow as a rule because it feeds a narrative in you written by trauma. It's going to tackle some of like the most common myths, whether it comes to spending, saving, earning. So feel free to check that out on Instagram. I'm hopping on live basically every day between Saturday, the 11th, and then like the 19th. And then, yeah, if you want to work with me one-on-one, I have my Anchor and Over for one-on-one program. Feel free to click the link in my bio, hop on a call. Love to discuss how we can work together, change your relationship with money, and ultimately change your entire life. And yeah, that's me. That's where you can find me, and that's how you can work with me.
Yes, I love it. That was so beautiful. I'm in awe of you. But yes, even if you're listening to this well after this time, I'm sure the replays will still be available. So check all that
Yep.
out. But
Yep.
thank you so much, Brea, for being here. It's so nice to like actually have like you undivided attention, just us one-on-one. But
I know.
I loved it. I loved having you, and I am so happy that you all were here to join in for this girl chat, because this is the conversations that people are having behind closed doors, and I just wanted to open that up and share a chat with y'all. So yeah, excited. Subscribe to the podcast if you want to hear more. But yes, I'm here for you, and I will see you next Monday for another girl chat, or Monday morning chat, whatever happens. But I'll see you there, okay? So have a good day. Bye.
Yay. Bye.
everybody. I really hope you enjoyed today's girl chat. I loved having these conversations, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy tomorrow's episode as well. But before you go ahead and click to the next girl chat, I want you to share your thoughts on this one. So you can go to the comments and share your key takeaways, what gem resonated with you, and just let us know your thoughts. And so, yeah, we want to keep the conversation going. We want to keep the girl chat going, even though it's over. But you can start the conversation down in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. And if you are listening on the podcast, I want you to go ahead and take a screenshot of this episode and tag us at Doulas Bloom on Instagram and let us know your thoughts. Same thing, keep the conversation going, share it with a friend, let us know your key insights, your key takeaways, and yeah, I want to know your thoughts. How did you feel today's girl chat went? What resonated with you? So yes, that is what I want. And then I will see you tomorrow. I will see you tomorrow for the next girl chat, and I'm so excited about this series. So excited about it. So but I will see you tomorrow for the next girl chat, and yeah, I love y'all. Bye.